Welcome into the PHNX Sun Devil Show, brought to you by the DraftKings Sportsbook app, America's top-rated sportsbook app. Don't forget to leave a like, drop a comment, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. I am Anthony Tochi.
You always say top-rated sportsbook app like it's like you say it really soft and kind.
You want me to say it with more oomph next time?
Top-rated sportsbook app.
Top-rated sportsbook app.
There you go.
There you go.
Get me fired
Joined
up.
as always by the band of misfits, Shawn DePaz to my right. We got Shane Diefenbach, and we've got a special guest today. Got Doug Holler of The Athletic. Doug, we tried to get you in on Monday, but so some life stuff happens with a water heater, correct?
Yeah. It's a very boring story, but puddle water, growing, garage, even more water, time to get the water heater replaced.
Well, we got a lot to talk about today. ASU football, nothing short to talk about there. There's always a lot of interesting storylines. Just over the course of spring, I know we chatted a little bit, but just what did you see, both good and bad, from ASU football this spring?
The best part, I thought, was the team spirit. And normally that's kind of a cliche. Day one, everyone's happy, brotherhood, all that. But usually by practice 12, 13, 14, everyone just wants to get out of there. But I thought they were still enthusiastic. I felt like there was a sense that they felt like the worst in regard to the outside noise, is what they kept referring it to, was behind them. I thought that was probably the biggest positive. The defense looked strong, of course, which we expected. The bad, I would start with the offense, which is not good. As you guys, I'm sure, have discussed, there are 5 scholarship quarterbacks, and we just saw, what was it, 45 minutes a day, not a lot of team action. So, I can't say authoritatively, who was the best guy out there, but I didn't see an obvious front runner among those 5. And, when you go through 15 practices and the starting quarterback doesn't begin to emerge, that's concerning.
Yeah, you talked about the spirit, and that's something you keep hearing with this team. Is it more of like they feel kind of backed into a corner with everything coming, like with all the outside noise, or is it just like this team genuinely really likes each other and they're feeling, or are they fueled by something else?
I think it's a lot. It's a combination of things. I feel like they definitely feel backed into a corner by the NCAA investigation, by fans' reaction on social media, by, some predictions are starting to come in. This team doesn't have high expectations as opposed to last year. Also, I think, when Jaden Daniels transferred, there was a video that popped up, which was really bad. It was a bad look. So I think there's maybe some overcompensation as far as that goes, to show like, hey, we're together, we got this. And like I said, I feel like they think that, I don't have to worry about my coordinator or my position coach losing his job because, the NCAA investigation is going to uncover something else. I feel like that they think that part of it is in the rearview mirror.
We've talked about expectations kind of a lot on the show. Before Emory, we're hovering around 6 wins. You talked a little bit beforehand that the expectation now with Emory in here is that he'll get to a bowl game. What are your expectations for Emory Jones and for just this ASU football team in general?
It's a little bit difficult to say because there are different levels to it. One, it's not ideal to have a quarterback come in. Let's see, he'll be on campus. He should be on campus any day now. In May, have to win over the locker room, gel with the receivers, learn the offense, and be ready for the home opener in September. That's not ideal. That's not a long time. And when you think about, Paul Tyson, the Alabama transfer, Trenton Bourguet, who's been around the program for 3 years already, they've gone through 15 practices, so they have a head start. Am I suggesting that Emory is not the number one? No, I don't think you bring a guy in this late without saying he's the projected starter. But what we know about him is this. At Florida, he started in the SEC. That's a bonus. Check that box. He can play at a decent level. They didn't have the best record. The coach got fired. That's not so good. His completion percentage was pretty good. He runs the ball. He's a dual threat, and I think that's the biggest positive for him is he can extend plays. When things break down, and they often do in college, in any level of football, he can still move the chains, and I think that's the biggest positive. He had some accuracy issues with as far as interceptions go, ball security. So that'll be one thing. He seems like a great kid, a great leader. I think that's a decent starting point. But it's really going to be on him to see how quickly he can pick things up and get things moving.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, he's not going to be there's been a lot made of kind of the receiving core. Obviously, Cameron, what?
Lack thereof.
Yeah, or lack thereof. Yeah. Obviously, Cameron Johnson, he's coming. He's, I guess, expected to play a relatively large role. But outside of him, obviously, with the loss of Ricky, where do you expect kind of that help in the receiving game to come from?
I don't have an answer to that yet. And we didn't, when you first asked about spring practice, we didn't talk about what happened after spring practice, with the transfer portal. At spring practice, looking at the team, even with the concerns at quarterback, I thought, okay, I'm looking at a team that could maybe reach a bowl game. I felt like that was maybe the ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
When Ricky Pearsall left, their leading receiver, Ellie Bunkley-Shelton left, Eric Gentry left, Jermaine Lole. Now you're getting down to that, 3 or 4 wins.
It's an endless.
Right.
Elijah Badger.
So the receivers, and I got to be honest, I wasn't sure. We've been hearing the Emory Jones rumors for a while,
Mm-hmm.
ever since he entered the transfer portal in March. What do you sell a quarterback on if you don't have any receivers? Like, come here and we'll get you some receivers. We don't have them in place yet. So I give Arizona State credit there. Cameron Johnson obviously has done it. I think that'll translate. But as you mentioned, they really, really need Elijah Badger to take the step that everyone has expected him to take since he arrived.
Yeah, he looks so good in space when he gets there. It's just a matter of getting him there. But going back to the quarterback thing, it was a little strange because we were talking about it on the show like 2 months ago when I forget what the quote was, but somebody said that the quarterback might not be here yet. And
Herm said it.
That was Herm.
Yeah. Yeah. So did they when the quarterback battle was going on between Tyson and Bourguet, was it like they were actively seeking one? Were they not happy with what was going on? What was that process like?
Just that quote in general,
Yeah.
he said that after the first spring practice. It wasn't like midway through or at the end. He said it after the first one. So he wasn't sure, going into spring if the guy was there. Which to me, I love his honesty. As a reporter, you love when coaches are honest. I was just really, really surprised that he said that publicly because it became the theme of spring. Is the quarterback here? So, yeah, and I think really what it came down to is I felt like after he said that, the spring was basically a tryout for Paul Tyson because they knew what they had in Trenton, knows the offense. Yeah. But I feel like if they really were going to consider Trenton for that starting job, and he may be the best guy, I don't know, that they would have been a little bit more confident in placing him at the forefront. But yeah, I still think Paul Tyson, may have the best upside of the guys in place, given the fact that he's big. And you got to keep in mind that these are, it's a pro. I don't know if you've ever heard, but ASU has an NFL
pro style model.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's the first time I've heard that. That's why we bring Doug on.
His expertise. Like, what did he tell us? Maybe you know something about that NFL coach. Yeah, you're talking. You have 3 former NFL coaches on staff. So the size sticks out. He's more of a pro style guy. So, before Emory, I felt like he might have been the guy, but I don't know if you bring in a guy this late and not give him the job.
Yeah.
100%. You bring up the NFL model thing, and I kind of want to get into the whole Ray Anderson side of things for a second. We've talked about it on the show, whether it translates to football, to basketball, just kind of the revenue sports at ASU. I guess what is Ray doing with the program in terms of elevating it? Because it feels like ever since Herm was brought in, it's gone on kind of a downward spiral.
Yeah. A lot of people are upset with Ray Anderson right now. And I think you have to start with just before all this happened with the football program. Ray is very well respected in the Pac-12, not only in the Pac-12, but in college athletics. I don't know I don't know how big of a candidate he was for the ACC commissioner's job, but I do know he was linked to it. There was talk that when Larry Scott stepped down, Ray Anderson might be his replacement. So, when the Pac-12 paused football in 2020 because for COVID reasons or fall sports, Larry Scott was up there Ray Anderson was right beside him on that Zoom call. So he's done a lot of great things within the conference. At ASU, he is, brought back minor sports. The facilities have been upgraded. So he's done some great things. Baseball has been ongoing, that issue. I mean, trying to get that back to where it was during the glory days. ASU basketball, is ASU basketball. It's always been what it is right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's always been what Bobby Hurley did, positioning the program, for 3 NCAA tournaments had it not been stopped that year for COVID. That was kind of the outlier for ASU basketball. But football is where, it comes down to, with the Ray Anderson conversation boils down to football. And he took a chance, as you guys know, bringing in Herm Edwards, to kind of say, okay, we're here. We need to go here. This is the guy to do it. And it's backfired tremendously. Yeah. And I think they're hiding from that a little bit. Ray hasn't been made available. I mean, I know I've tried to talk to him a couple times, and I've asked him face to face, and I've made requests, and just haven't gotten anywhere with that. So I understand why people are down right now. It's not a good time for Arizona State sports.
Yeah. He had made a comment at one point about how, in regards to his thoughts on NIL, that they weren't going to focus on that. They were going to try and make this a school that was prepping guys to get to the NFL. Do you think that a program like this can be successful when that is the mindset going into it?
I think it's difficult. I think some can. I think Stanford can. Possibly Notre Dame. I mean, I think there are some programs across the country that can. I think when Ray Anderson made that statement on the radio, he was taking the lead of his boss, Michael Crow. And Michael Crow has always kind of taken an approach like, you know what, we're going to do things a certain way. We're not going to pay crazy salaries like they do in the SEC. I mean, I don't know if you guys remember, but I think in 2015 or so, Arizona State gave Mike Norvell, who was the offensive coordinator then, gave him a raise, and he was making $900,000 before bonuses. I mean, that was mind-blowing for Arizona State. No assistant coach anyway at Arizona State has approached that since. So, I think Ray was just kind of following the lead of his boss. And, Michael Crow kind of set that out there, that agenda, and I think everyone kind of fell in line and didn't really understand how quickly this was moving and in what direction it was moving.
Well, I hate doing this, even though I love doing it. What do you realistically think the win total is at for this football team this year?
I'll go back to what you said. I talked to a coach out in that area of the country about Emory Jones not too long ago, and I said, well, what can we expect? And he goes, he'll get you to a bowl game. So as the roster is right now, I would put it right around that 6 or 7 win mark. I think a lot depends on whether Jermaine Lole returns. If he does, that defense could be really good.
Yeah.
Obviously, there are concerns in the secondary, but that they could be really good defensively. From what I'm hearing, Jermaine is a very attractive person on the transfer market right now for obvious reasons. So it'll be interesting if Arizona State can keep him here. And they still need, I would think, at least 2 receivers. And I don't know what options they're going to have at this point. There are still some guys in the transfer portal. They may have to go junior college, which makes things a little bit more difficult. But that's probably where I would start.
You mentioned the secondary. That was one thing I wanted to ask you about. Was there anybody that you've seen that's kind of stuck out to you from the secondary? Because obviously there's a lot of turnover there. Is it kind of just a mess still?
No, yeah. Isaiah Johnson. I don't know if you remember him a couple years ago. He was the highest rated recruit, I think, in the 2021 class, 2021 class, I think. And didn't play at all last year. I mean, I think he played in 2 games. Like, what happened to Isaiah Johnson? He just was not a factor. I mean, he was just, you had to look for him at every practice just to make sure he was still on the team. And then all of a sudden, I was standing out there to practice, and gosh, we were maybe practice 4 or 5. I just noticed him like yelling and talking to Marvin Lewis, showing a lot of enthusiasm. And I remember telling someone, like, that's the first time I've noticed Isaiah Johnson, I think, since he arrived. And ever since then, he started going up the depth chart a little bit and started looking like the player that, they recruited that we expected to see. So I would start with him. I still don't know if he's going to start because they brought in some transfers. And, on the back end, probably Corey Bethley from the guy from Hawaii. You could tell he's played all conference pick in the Mountain West. He carried himself pretty well during the spring, I thought.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about the transfers for ASU football. ASU basketball got themselves quite a boatload of transfers. What do you think is the biggest move for Bobby Hurley's team so far?
I really like the point guard from Michigan, Frankie
Collins. Yeah,
Frankie Collins. Yes. From what I've been told, I mean, he was in line to possibly start for them next year. A tough kid, and I think he could do a lot of different things. My fear with the basketball transfers, and it's always this way under Bobby, is Bobby, as we all know, lets his guards play with a lot of freedom. And I feel like, I'm sure what they do, if I would do this if I were them, is I'd put on a film or a video of Remy Martin and say, look what we let our guards do. I would not show them an Alonzo Verge video. And I think when you're in basketball, I think it's different than football. When basketball players transfer, they're making a decision like, I need to get to the league. What's the best way to increase my NBA potential? And you want to go someplace where you can score. So if you bring in 3-4 transfers, I think they all arrive thinking like, I'm going to get my points here. And, and that's been kind of a problem for Bobby is you need players, you need talent, you get them here, but at the same time, you need guys to accept their roles. And I think particularly in the backcourt, you can kind of see that struggle kind of unfold a little bit about, who's going to look for their shot and who's going to look to get others involved.
Yeah, it sounds a lot like something that happened last year. No, I'm such a big fan of the idea of bringing everyone in, and then you see it kind of happen. I'm excited for this team, especially Frankie Collins, because you're getting a good player when the team the school that he transferred from's fans are cursing at him because they want him to stay. Yeah. So I'm excited for that. And then you get a true 7-footer in Warren Washington. What have you heard about him and some of the other guys?
You know what? Probably with Warren, the thing that stands out to me the most is I've heard he's a great passer, which is good. Obviously he has. I think I heard Bobby say the other day that maybe he was an upgrade over Jalen Graham. Did you guys hear that?
Oh,
yeah. That would surprise me because I thought Jalen was turned into one of the better front court players. He was. The second half of last season, he really was. But yeah, I mean, you get a big guy. I mean, that's always been kind of the problem for Arizona State under Bobby is, he could get guards. There's no doubt about that. But to get the front court players, and that's why Jalen Graham was such a big loss. But yeah, I think he's a big get for them. It sounds like he's good near the basket. He has a nice touch, but really, just the passing, the moving the ball, I think will help. And the Cambridge brothers, we haven't mentioned them yet. Yeah. I think they can help in a lot of ways. Desmond obviously is a scorer. I had a great conversation with his dad, and he said he's the type of kid who has never met a shot he didn't like. I told that to Desmond, and Desmond didn't really appreciate that compliment so much. He didn't take that as a compliment, but a guy who, just the way he elevates off his shot maybe is kind of might remind people of Torian Graham. Do you remember him a few years back? Maybe he won't shoot quite as much, but also Devin.
He's my X factor this year.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Nickname's Bounce Man, incredible athlete. But I think it depends. If he comes and wants to play a certain role, I think he could be really, really good for Arizona State. If he comes and wants to average 15 points, I'm not sure how that's going to work.
You mentioned a lot of names right there that were just transfers, and obviously you have a lot of guys that are coming back. Do you think? I know he was a little tight-lipped on it the other day, but you think he might go a little deeper into his rotation than he normally does? Do you think we might see some people redshirt? Because you got a lot of young guys like Jemiah, Enoch that it's kind of hard to see where they fit into this now with all of the new acquisitions.
No, that's a great question. I don't think anyone will redshirt. I just think unless you're a freshman coming in and you understand that you're going to have to sit, and I just think those days are gone. I think you risk losing them. But Jemiah is interesting. I thought last year, in the beginning of the season, I thought when Marcus Bagley was playing, I thought he was Arizona State's second best pro prospect. Now, not saying he could reach that level, but he's long. He has some skills. I just thought it just seemed like for a while, I don't know, I'm going to mess up these numbers, but it seemed like 2/3 of the shots that he was taking through the first 15 games of the season was from three. He was the best athlete on the court. They had to find a better way to use him, I thought. I'm really intrigued on how what growth comes from Jemiah. Enoch, I don't know what to make of him yet. I don't know if he's going to turn into an all-conference guy in a couple years, or if he's always going to be in foul trouble.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's things to work with there.
Yeah.
He's so young. He's so young.
He classified up, which people forget.
Yeah. The Jemiah thing was really interesting last year because it was a guy that kind of found his way into a lot of playing time. And as you mentioned, really raw. We talked about the deeper rotation a little bit, but are these guys going to be okay with sitting behind, do you think? Is this kind of the
No.
I'm just a little worried about how, we talked about too many cooks scoring wise, but getting playing time, Bobby doesn't reach into his bench. And I know it's kind of repeating the question, but I'm just a little worried about what is going to come of these guys that aren't going to get playing time.
Yeah.
Because we haven't even talked about Austin Nunez yet either.
Yeah.
Or Marcus Bagley.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, if you talk, people ask me about Marcus all the time, and I have no idea.
Yeah.
I mean, I have no idea if he'll be, it sounds like he's progressing, but what has he played 15 games in 2 years? I just don't know what to expect from him at this point. Hopefully he gets his knee straight and he can contribute. Yeah, it's last year I thought they needed another point guard. This year I think they have two with Frankie and Austin Nunez. I've heard different things about Austin, about whether he's, I know he can score, but he might be more of a combo guy. DJ Horn, obviously, we know what he can do. Luther Muhammad, I don't know where he fits.
Yeah, that's the one person that Bobby didn't talk about. We covered almost everybody at the presser, but he didn't talk about Luther.
He gets lost.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
I think he's still going to contribute in the way that he does, just hard defense and playing, but there's just so many people on this team that can get playing.
Well, I think Luther's a guy that needs to embrace, you know what, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to play defense. And I'm just going to take the best guard on the other team and I'm going to make his night miserable. And that should be his role, but that's, guys don't want to hear that. They really don't.
He seems kind of like the player that would accept that, though. I remember that video that went viral when he was at Ohio State with Colin Sexton, I believe, when he was Lance Stevenson him with blowing into his ear or whatever he's doing. I love it.
It's great. Going around the room real quick, kind of want to get all your guys' opinion, but is this a must get to the tournament kind of year for Bobby? Because there was a lot of questions about his longevity here at ASU early on last season with how poorly they started. Shane, I'll start with you. Is this a must get to the tournament kind of year, you think, for Bobby?
Probably just because he hasn't really been defending himself. People like me have been defending him with this is weird, the COVID years, the injuries, all of the stuff has happened in the past 3 years, 2 years, push it all away. And he even said that in the press conference, now things are feeling more normal. He's doing the camp again. Everything feels a little more normal. So there's no excuses now, barring anything injury-wise. Yeah. So I think so, but I also wouldn't be surprised if it's another mediocre season and he sticks around.
Yeah. John?
Yeah, I think, for the exact thing Shane said, the excuses that have kind of been built in the last couple of years are gone. I think when you have you're Bagley supposed to be back, you get a guy like Frankie Collins, the talent is there for them to be successful. And so I feel like he has to do something with it. I feel like the expectation has to be the tournament this year.
Yeah. What do you think, Doug?
It does. Just coming off the COVID year, which was a mess, but they did have talent. And then, I give them credit. Things could have really bottomed out last year.
Yeah.
They were heading that direction. It did not look good late December, early January. They turned it around and then threw it all away in Vegas. But
fuck you.
So yeah, I do think, and I think Bobby would even say so, that this is a big year for him. I don't know if the athletic department is in position to make any sort of move if he doesn't, but they need to get back to that level for sure.
I've never felt as nauseous as I did after James Keefe threw in that game winner.
Yeah, I remember Shane and I sat there for a solid 15 seconds just staring off into the distance, and they're like, okay, but now we have to work.
Yeah. I'm trying to bring this show together. You guys are just staring off into the abyss, just crying.
It was one of those things where you thought, okay, this isn't going to happen. This isn't good, but they're not going to lose.
Yeah.
It's okay, it's getting way too close, but they're not going to lose. And it's okay, they just lost.
Yeah, It was like a horror movie. You could see it coming, but you just didn't want to believe it.
It was like 14. What was a 14-point lead with 3 minutes to go?
All I know is the game felt completely over when Kamani ended somebody's life, and they went up by
Oh,
like
yeah.
15.
But I think that's kind of why they ended up losing. They lost their focus.
That was their last bucket of the game. The last bucket of the season was that Kamani dunk.
Wow.
Oh God.
Speaking
and I'm still sad.
Speaking of Kamani, though, obviously the guy that was a leader on this team, you're losing Jay Heath, you're losing Jalen, like and you don't know we're going to get from Bagley. If Bagley doesn't play or he's not there at the beginning of the season, where do you think the leadership from player-wise comes from?
Well, see, that's the issue with the whole transfer era that we're in, is things are just turning over all the time. If Luther sticks around and buys into his role, I think he would be a natural fit for that. I know he's well respected, or he was last year among the coaching staff within the locker room. I think he would be the first guy to come to mind. Maybe DJ Horn could fit into that, I think, as well. Trying to think who else has been around. I would start definitely with Luther, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Luther was always the guy that I saw getting up shots after games at DFA last year. I could definitely see that.
They're always, I feel like just over the course of the last handful of seasons, though, they're always used to having Kamani there.
Yeah.
They're always used to
And
at least
Bobby
having.
said.
Yeah.
And Kamani's a perfect example of what we were just talking about. A guy who, he had those same, I want to score. I mean, I remember his sophomore season. I think it was the beginning of his sophomore season. We went over and Bobby opened up practice for a little bit. It was before the season started. And my biggest takeaway is, wow, Kamani is really being aggressive with his shot. And, I just never saw Kamani as that leading scorer type of guy. And even last year when they started off, I even wrote something at The Athletic that said, Kamani's playing great, but he can't be your leading scorer. He can't be that guy. And to Kamani's credit, he embraced his role and he was really good for them. He's going to be hard to replace. No one's talking about, losing Kamani, but just for everything that he did, he was low maintenance. They didn't have to call plays for him. And yet he still found ways to produce. That's hard to replace.
Yeah, 100%. We talked a lot about collegiate basketball, ASU basketball, but the NBA playoffs are going on right now, and the DraftKings Sportsbook app is an official sports betting partner of the NBA. This week, new customers can bet just $5 on any team to win and get $150 in free bets if they do. Shawn, what do we call that?
Free money.
And there's not a lot of free money
We
going on.
got to throw that phrase away.
But I mean, when you're a promo
Yeah,
like
I
this,
know,
quite
but
literally
still,
is
it's
free
just-
money.
It literally is free money. It is.
Well, the team that you bet on has to win.
So
I guess that's true. That's true.
it's no risk money.
Yeah, there you go. And right now, all customers can place a same-game parlay with 3 or more legs and get a free bet back up to $25 if one leg doesn't hit. The Bucks and Celtics are back in action. The Warriors and Grizzlies are back in action. You got anything, Shane? That
Feed
you're
me
excited?
all the Grayson Allen points.
Stop it.
Nom, 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 nom.
That's so disgusting.
Is that you eating Grayson Allen points?
I mean, I bet on Dylan Brooks today and Grayson Allen on our bets show. Hate both of them. They're both very dirty little stinkers, but I still think they're going to score a lot of points.
Feed me all the Al Horford rebounds and assists.
I hate that pick so much. I hate it so much.
I gave you good reason for it.
Doug, are you a big betting guy?
Not really, no. My friends and I, we go to Vegas every so often. There I am, but not so much.
Who do you think's going to win
Yeah, who do you
this
think wins
series in
tonight?
the Eastern Conference?
You mean like who's going to come out?
The Bucks and Celtics series.
Oh, okay. I was going to say Boston, but I don't know.
Yeah, that series is getting weird. It's
really weird.
the most entertaining series,
By
I would say.
far.
I think Drew Holiday is just on another level right
Yeah.
now defensively. He's making Marcus Smart look like he shouldn't have won the DPOY.
I think going into the playoffs, I think the West was the favorite to have the NBA champion. After watching the playoffs, I feel like it's the East. I feel like the East has the edge now. Especially after watching what the Heat did to the Sixers.
I could see any of the 3 teams that are left in the East winning the finals for sure.
It's tough. It's tough if you're a Suns fan. But again, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code PHNX. Bet $5 on any NBA team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. That's promo code PHNX, only at DraftKings Sportsbook. It's 21 plus, Arizona only. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. New customers only. A minimum of a $5 deposit. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for
Toji,
details.
as you would say, you speak fallacy. Right now on
Why?
DraftKings, Golden State is the favorite now, and the Suns are the second
Are they?
favorite. Yep.
Yeah, but I just
Bucks,
After-
Heat, and
I like the
Celtics.
Heat. Honestly, I hate it because Mike Luke said
was
it
gonna
when
say.
we were in Vegas. But after watching the Heat and what Jimmy Butler's
Dude, okay,
been on lately,
look, Shawn could lock up Harden right now.
I would disagree.
No, I'm joking. But
You haven't seen me play
the Sixers make everybody look good right now with a hobbled Embiid. I don't think so.
It is what it is. But today is Friday the 13th, the unluckiest day of the year. We always talk about ASU and Arizona sports being just unlucky in general. So I've
Is that a
concocted
crutch?
what?
I feel like we just use it as a crutch.
Unlucky?
them being
Yeah.
unlucky and not just
I don't know.
bad.
I chalk
Sometimes
up
they're
everything.
just bad.
And no, this is my motto in life. It wasn't always, but after living in Indiana, anything
That's
bad
unlucky.
anything bad that happens to you, just chalk it up as being unlucky.
So living in Indiana, unlucky.
Very unlucky. Very, especially during wintertime. Very, very
Getting
unlucky.
offered a job and then accepting it and willingly move to.
All right,
moving
hold
to
on,
Indiana.
hold on. I'm from Indiana, so let's just cut the
Indiana
talk.
slander.
Yeah,
Indiana slander. But you're here now.
I am here now. Yes.
Do you
all
want-
my all my family's still in Indiana, but
What-
I am here now.
Would you ever leave to go back?
Probably, yeah.
Really?
Even with the wind, yeah, just to be around family.
I feel like
That's
when
fair.
you're from the Midwest, you always there's a part of you that always wants to be back in the Midwest.
I can't relate. Can you?
We have just kind of taken a U-turn here, haven't we?
Welcome to
PHNX
Friday.
Sunday.
So yes, Friday the 13th, unluckiest day of the year. ASU unlucky. I have crafted up 3 hypothetical situations that would be very unlucky for Arizona State athletics. And
I'm
I've
a
got
little worried.
Yeah, so am I. I was gonna say I'm nervous.
situations for all 3 of you, one for each, and you're gonna try and talk your way out of this very unlucky situation. So Shawn, I'm gonna start with you.
Oh God, I'm the guinea pig.
So
Sean's not good at bullshitting.
ASU softball
what
is
I do.
having its best season
Oh,
in
boy.
recent memory. Trisha Ford just won Pac-12 Coach of the Year and is wanting to be the highest paid coach at ASU. She will retire otherwise. You can either let her retire and let the program decline, or you can make her the highest paid coach by firing 2 other head coaches at ASU.
Oh,
What are you
jeez.
doing and who are you firing?
Okay,
Wow.
so.
I mean, one person has the contract where you can just fire them.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you kind of have to fire Herm in that situation, considering how things have gone with the football program. If we rewind this about 5 months, fire CTT because she was going to retire anyway.
But
That would have looked horrible,
You
though.
can't do that.
I don't see. I want to keep her, but I don't. I guess you kind of have to fire Bobby too. Like who else?
No!
Who else can
You're
you
firing
fire?
your 2 revenue.
Who else can you fire in this situation? Who else has enough? Who else is making enough money that you can fire them and make up the money that you would need to pay Coach Ford?
I don't know how the
And
fans-
they're the only 2. Like all the other coaches are performing incredibly well. Or you have Coach Natasha Adair who hasn't done anything yet. So like,
That's just mean.
or you
who-
let her
who do you fi-
retire. Or you let her retire.
yeah, but softball is getting
Go get
back to
Bob
soft-
Bowman a job somewhere else.
Really? You're firing
Oh,
Bob?
no, I don't want to, but
I mean-
set him up somewhere else.
This is an unlucky situation.
That's what I'm saying.
That
It's
is
the
unlucky.
unluckiest situation.
Final answer, Sean.
Yeah, that's my final answer.
You're firing
fire,
Bobby?
Fire Bobby and Herm to
Wow.
keep Coach Ford. I mean, there's a chance that at the end of the season you're doing it anyways. So
Jeez. Okay.
I think
Yeah.
that would go over well.
Shane, you're up next.
Fantastic.
ASU football has a new quarterback in Emory Jones. Or so you thought.
Oh, no.
Jones decides he's staying at ASU, but only if he can change positions.
Let's go.
Jones showed his talent on the ground at Florida and wants to be a running back. He doesn't care if he starts or not. What are you doing?
I'm bringing back Chip Trainum to teach Daniel Ngata to play
Be
linebacker. And I'm having that, and Tyson and Bourget are doing a dual quarterback. We're running a wishbone, and the center can either snap it to the left or right.
So you've got
Bang.
Ngata at linebacker.
Yep.
Just right on the top of your head.
I've thought about this.
He's like, what if Emory Jones comes in and wants to be a running back? So who's starting at running back?
Emory
or
Jones.
Xavier? You're starting Emory Jones
Oh
over
no,
Xavier Valade?
Chip Trainum is teaching Xavier Valade how to play linebacker.
That I could see.
Yeah, and Daniel Ngata is running. They're two. He's our third down running
So
back.
Chip Trainum is simultaneously playing for Ohio State.
He's just.
and is
I'm just giving him a
volunteer
call.
coach for.
Just a quick.
Yeah, just a favor.
I'm sure Ohio State would feel real good about that.
Yeah,
You could do it over Zoom.
yeah.
Honestly, that's good answer. Good answer.
Yep.
All right, Doug, here we go. We got ASU men's basketball coach Bobby Hurley announcing his retirement.
No.
The last
See,
couple
I
of
knew you should
seasons
fire him.
have
He's gonna
just
retire
been too
anyways.
much to handle, and he's done. Players are looking to transfer, and everything feels like it's falling apart. How do you solve the situation?
It's like the
All of
hardest
ours
one.
was like random, like Coach Ford and Emory Jones wants to be a running back. It's like, here's a real situation. Solve it.
Okay, I would build an arena or announce plans to build an arena to
that
try
has working water.
to
And electricity.
to try to change Bobby's mind. That would be the first thing I would do. And if that didn't work, I guess, are you saying like who would I go out and?
Yeah. Who are we poaching?
I would have said Todd Golden at San Francisco, but I don't think there's any chance that he's coming from Florida. You know, I would
Coach K out of
probably,
retirement.
if I can't change Bobby's mind with a new arena, I would probably call Dedrick Taylor at Cal State Fullerton, who has done some good things there.
Out of all of the three, he's the only one that said he was going to try and change the person's mind. You just immediately gave in to the question.
Well,
You're
Coach
like, I got to
Ford-
fire
the thing
somebody.
is, Coach Ford, based on what's happened this year, deserves to be the highest paid coach in the country. So I'm not. How am I going to say no? You don't deserve it.
I mean, she definitely deserves to be paid more than what she is. But
Yeah. So I don't know what you want from me.
it is what it is. All I'm saying is we are the only Arizona sports, what was you going to say, media outlet that's going to be asking random questions like this, hypotheticals on Friday the 13th. If you're not already, head to go PHNX and become a member of the family because you're going to get either a free t-shirt from the locker or your first month for 50 cents just for signing up. Not to mention, we got some great hats. Are they still technically new hats, guys?
Why do you ask this once a week?
every time.
Because it's true. I feel like after a certain amount of time, they're not new hats.
They're
anymore.
not new hats until the only time they're not new hats is when we release a new hat.
So if we don't release another hat for a year, they're saying they're not new hats. I say they're not new anymore.
Okay.
They're a staple of the PHNX.
Just
locker.
go get a PHNX hat. Dad hat, trucker hat, snapback hat. Literally all the hats. Again, head over to gophnx.com today and become a member of the family. Going to get either a free t-shirt from the locker or your first month for 50 cents just for signing up. And while you're becoming a member for us, you should also definitely go sign up and subscribe to all the great content that Doug Holler is putting out. Do you have anything in the works, Doug? Anything new?
Yeah, well, the summer is always, you know, kind of, well, usually it slows down. It hasn't slowed down. So I do have some projects that will come up here shortly. I can't like divulge them yet because I don't know for sure when they're going to run. And then some football stuff for next week, just some roster stuff.
Yeah.
So
Doug always has some top tier content. So definitely, again, go subscribe to The Athletic. The only place you can get Doug's content, unless he's popping up on our show. But to our final topic of the day, of the week, we've got Hot or Not is what it's normally called, but Shane has a new title for today.
It's Holler Not. Thank you.
So, Doug, what we normally do is Leah, our producer, will give us 3 random topics that none of us really know what they are. And we're just going to go around the room, usually not in any orderly fashion. And if you like them or if you don't, and try and defend it.
Is it hot or is it not?
Yeah, pretty much.
Do you like it or not?
Okay. All right. So the first topic is, so the Kentucky Derby was last week. We're in the middle of like horse racing season. So I don't want to say horse racing hot or not because I already know that Shane's going to immediately say hot because of the betting aspect. So not horse.
Their horses are beautiful. It's not
So
the betting.
not horse racing itself, but like derby culture. Hot or not?
Derby culture.
It feels forced, so I'm gonna say not. Freezing cold, actually. I hate it. It's just, I don't know. I'm not a fan.
Lukewarm to me.
Derby culture,
I
as
don't
in
need it.
like
I also just
the
hate
attire?
I hate big hats, so I think that's
Yeah.
why I hate it.
The attire, the drinks, like just how everyone goes.
I mean, I would go. Like, I'm not saying I wouldn't, but I don't think I'm dressing up in like
A big hat.
like suspenders and
I would rather play the electric ponies in Vegas.
Stop it.
That's derby culture I'm here for.
Yeah, I'd rather play that than go see actual horses race. I'm indifferent.
Ice
If I
cold.
never go to the Kentucky Derby, I'll be
Ice
fine.
cold. I would want to go to the Kentucky Derby. I feel like that's a sporting event. Like if you work in sports, like there's a list of events that you want to go to. I definitely would like to go to the Kentucky Derby at least one time.
Like if it was free and I was in Kentucky, I'd go. But
I feel like I'm also just a little jealous that I'm not loaded You can't just go and sit in a box and throw money at a horse.
Well, see, I have some friends who attend derby parties, and they do all that, the dressing up and the hats, and yeah, I don't get that at all. But I do like the kind of the tradition of it. I think anything like that associated with a sporting event is good. And I do know that I've never been to the derby, but I do have some college friends who have gone several years, and I can tell you their experience at the derby is nothing like that. So just because of the pictures and the hats and everything you see, there's a whole different segment who are experiencing that event in an entirely different way.
Love it.
Fair enough.
Interesting. What do we got for topic number 2, Leah?
All right, topic number 2, and this one is courtesy of Petey this morning.
Oh, yeah.
Oh boy.
End credit scenes in movies.
So cold. Freezing cold.
Whoa.
Why?
Are we going just like any movie, or are we talking specifically Marvel?
Yeah, because if we're doing Marvel, it's a different animal.
No, any
That's
movie.
freezing cold too.
No.
I saw
This is a horrible
I saw the
take.
best tweet that summed it up. Dudes will wait 20 minutes after a movie for somebody to pop in the screen and be like, "I'm Flobberknocker," and everyone's like, "Oh my god!" It's the worst. It's terrible.
I'm ashamed.
It is a terrific marketing tactic.
What is it?
Like, because it automatically gets you excited for the next movie.
You're
It's gonna
wasting.
come-
It's 20 minutes, you're there anyways.
B, give the people their flowers. People did all this work that otherwise wouldn't get noticed. You know,
Okay, Shawn, you're waiting in the credlet. You're gonna stare at the credits like you're not just on your phone the
Well,
whole
first
time.
of all,
No,
we know
but if
Shawn
you're-
doesn't go to the movies anyways.
I like the movies. I'm a big Harkins guy. But I think if you're a person that like, you're just some random like lighting guy that's getting your first job in movies, it's probably a big deal when you see your name on the credit scene. You get to point it out to your family.
Oh, so you're about watching the credit scene to get to see the credit?
I'm saying for the people that are listed in the credit scenes, it's probably a big deal to see their name in the credit scenes. So for that reason, it's hot. Like, it's let people get their flowers.
It's just extra like you paid for it. Might as well just sit there for the extra clip. Like, what do you like? It's 15, 20 minutes.
Doug, defend me.
I thought it was cool initially, but since then it's kind of
It's died out.
yeah.
Thank you.
It is what it is, man. I will say that the new Doctor Strange movie is mid by itself. The post credit scenes are also very mid. So
So after the last Spider-Man movie, the post credit scene got me hyped. So
What's the final topic, Leah?
All right, last one, and I already know Shane's answer, but I'm just gonna go for it. Apple Music. Hot or not?
Ice cold. Apple Music is so bad in every way.
Unless you're getting your PHNX Edible podcast.
No, you can get it on Spotify. Just download Spotify. Get it
Okay,
there.
just
Download Apple Music, leave a 5-star review
See,
for our podcast there, and then
Can
go
you-
to Spotify
can you-
and listen.
Come here
to
real
it there.
fast. So whatever
just
you're
finger-
whatever you're most comfortable with, pause. Whatever you're most comfortable with, you use. I started on Apple Music. I bought iTunes. I did all that. I tried to switch over to Spotify briefly, but I'm used to the UI on Apple Music. So I use Apple Music, and you use Spotify, and that's okay.
No, it's
but
not.
don't attack me.
No, I'm going to attack
See,
you.
that's crazy to me.
It's just use the thing that is better. It is Spotify looks better. It's more user
I don't
friendly.
think it does. No, it's
I
not.
Yes,
like
it is.
Spotify way more than
Yeah,
Apple Music.
I don't think it's even close.
Okay.
And so I think you're objectively wrong.
See,
if you
that's
use
that's
Apple
that
Music.
that right there. Can't
I
have
will
that.
gatekeep
I
music
can't have-
streaming services.
That's crazy. Your music taste is mid.
What do you think, Doug? Whoa.
Yeah.
Well, I don't use Spotify, so I guess I'm all Apple Music.
For the record, I use Apple Music as well.
I'm with you. It's Spotify all the way.
Yeah.
Like, we get the Spotify Wrapped at the end of the year. What do you
Dude,
get?
Apple Music has the same thing.
What is
Which
it
they
called?
ripped off of Spotify.
Apple Music year in review or something.
Yeah.
It's the same
way worse,
thing.
Way worse.
Spotify is like you get to post it to your story. It's like a cool.
Oh yeah. Okay, that's another thing.
No,
Oh, here
Here's
we
a-
go.
No. Back to me. Hot or not topics? Right here. Posting music to your story.
Oh, no.
Who the hell cares?
No.
I don't. Ooh, you listened to Kendrick Lamar. His new album came out last night. Awesome. Everybody's listening to it.
Fired up.
God, it animates me
Leah,
so much.
Can we bring it back,
It's
please?
so pretentious.
No, I love it because I like my friends. Okay, and I'm interested to see what their music taste is. So at the end of the year,
Why
when
don't you
they post
talk to them? Why don't you just ask them what they're listening to?
It's really because it's a random. You're not going to just have that conversation, but it's interesting to be like,
You're
oh,
forcing it
I
down
didn't
my
know that you
throat
were-
when you're showing what you're listening to on
just
That's
don't
not
watch
true.
their stories.
Yeah, or just swipe left.
Well, still, it's you. Then never mind. We do this for a living, so I was gonna say people don't care what I think, but they do apparently.
Doug, who are your top 3 artists right now?
Top 3 artists. Gosh. Well, my daughter. Okay. Right now, I'm listening to Queen a lot.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Great choice.
My daughter was just in a play, and it was all Queen music. So
That seems like an
That's-
awesome play.
that just sounds like
Yeah,
an awesome
it
play.
was. It was really cool. So I've been listening a lot to Queen. What else do I listen a lot to? I've always been a Metallica fan, so I listen to a lot of Metallica. And I also, just going back to my Indiana days, I do have some country music roots, so I do listen to Garth Brooks.
Love
Okay.
it. Thunder rolls, baby.
We should have had him on the draft that we did with the snake drafting a music festival. That would have been good.
Yeah.
Anyways, that does it for our Friday Fun Day show today. If you enjoyed the content, you can follow us on social at PHNX_Sun Devils. You can follow me at Anthony_Totri. You can follow Doug at Doug Holler. You can follow Shane at Shane Deef, and you can follow Shawn at Shawn_DePaz.
Gatekeeping music streaming services as always.
We will be back Monday with a live show, but for now, peace.